Hey guys, hello again. Hello again. Welcome to another episode of Stonks Day 110. A couple things going on this week. Fed had a open markets committee meeting today. Decided to cut rates by 25 basis points, but also said moving forward they're expecting less cuts. So it seems like that's actually causing the markets to react negatively. And apparently there's been a 10-day losing streak for the Dow. I had no idea, but interesting to know. What I want to do for this stream is go over this pretty quickly, get some read-throughs, get some understanding of what's going on in the economy, specifically the US economy. And then after that, work my way towards Marvell and Broadcom. I know they released earnings in the past weeks, I'd say 2 weeks from now, or 2 weeks ago. Within that time frame, Marvell, I want to say, is a chip design company that helps hyperscalers and customers design chips, essentially. I think the proper term or the industry term is a co-designer. They're a chip co-designer that probably has some type of intellectual property that they sell, but also sort of act as a consultant, like a McKinsey, maybe an Accenture, but solely focusing on chip design. The other, Broadcom, to me it seems like, or what Asianometry calls itself, or calls Broadcom, is it's sort of this private equity firm masquerading as a public equity or a public company. And it's this guy, Hock Tan, who is the CEO. I think has a master's of electrical engineering from Stanford, also has an MBA from Stanford. If it's not Stanford, then it's one of those really prestigious schools. And he just pretty much buys a bunch of companies, a bunch of tech companies, and then absorbs them into Broadcom. I think AVGO was a company that was swallowed by Broadcom, but they kept the ticker symbol. I want to say it's like Avagio or something. I don't fully remember, but that's what it is today. Broadcom is this massive conglomerate of different tech companies within itself, but most of it, I think, does come from semiconductors, most of the revenue, that is. And then finally, there's this interesting thing I read on the information called Verified Compute. There's this startup, I want to say it's EQTY. They're in the business of creating some type of software layer that sits either on the kernel or somewhere in the operating system, or maybe it's a hardware component, I'm not entirely sure. It could be a compiler that will be able to somehow notarize, I think that's the term they use. It'll notarize a GPU or a CPU, specifically a NVIDIA or Intel CPU, GPU. I don't know exactly how that process works, but I think the very, very high level idea is if you were to train an AI model or system today, how do you know what's actually going on under the hood of your system or of your model? Well, there's a lot of matrix multiplications. There's a lot of compute tasks involved. When I say compute task, I really do mean just kind of the dot products between different vectors or matrices. It seems like that is the standard in a lot of these machine learning models today. Big thing that comes to mind is transformers with self-attention. I don't know the exact calculation, but I just know that there's some type of dot product involved. So there's maybe some way to understand what vectors or what portions of your GPU are being used by the model itself. So somehow, some way that enables tracing or verifiability for any type of AI systems designer or programmer. So that's kind of like the agenda for today. And with that being said, let's dive right in. Okay, 2.6%. It's 10th loss in a row. New projections released Wednesday show Fed officials expect inflation to be stickier next year than previously anticipated. The projections show officials expect to make fewer rate reductions, with most penciling in 2 cuts for 2025, down from 4 at their meeting in September. So that's about a 50 basis points probably cut. And does that warrant a 2-3% decline? Yeah, it's tough to say. Yeah, is there a rough percent estimate? Maybe ChatGPT knows. .5%. Okay. Excuse me. 1 to 2% as discounted cash flows are highly sensitive to rate changes. Right. Okay. So I guess technology stocks are, because I would imagine a lot of tech companies are high growth, and a lot of the cash flows are from the future. So if you have a higher discount rate, that's going to really crush the present value of those cash flows, really compress them down. Yeah, that's a good point. If you expect higher inflation, but you're still cutting interest rates, that's interesting combination. Okay, so 4.25 and 4.5%, it's here low. So I think maybe the high was 5.25 to 5. So it's a full 1%. Third reduction in a row, so maybe 5%. Okay, a full percentage point. Yeah. Okay, September projection. Got it. So they... Yeah, so what does this mean, I guess, for the bond markets? I'm trying to think. I don't know too much about bond trading, but I would imagine then yields don't raise to 6%. I remember hearing something at work today where like, oh, bond yields are going to raise to 6% or rise to 6%. I don't see that happening anymore then. If rates don't get cut that much. Yeah, so I don't know, what are yields at right now? I honestly have no idea. So maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about either. But yeah, that would probably slow down yield growth in the near future. Okay, many Fed officials concluded that the so-called neutral rate of interest that neither slows nor spurs growth had fallen below 3% because the because the economy proved more resilient than expected to rapid interest rate increases that Fed officials made in 2022 and 2023, some officials are concluding that the neutral rate has gone up. Rate cuts have provided some immediate relief to consumers with credit card balance and small businesses with variable rate debt, but long-term borrowing costs on everything from mortgages and auto loans to corporate debt have risen in recent months as investors have reduced their bets on aggressive rate cuts over coming years. Okay. Tenure yield is up. Okay, interesting comments. Let me update I think I have some a reading list for this week. Yeah, week 50, 2025. So read Wednesday, December 2020, 18th, 2025. Okay, so WSJ, what should I call this? Excuse me. Just had a slight burp. Okay, Fed signals plan to slow rate cuts, sending stocks lower. Published December 18th, 2024. Yeah. I put 2025 yesterday, damn. What was I smoking? I don't know. Okay. So things to note, Fed cut rates to cut the federal funds target rate. So let me try to remember. I think the federal funds target rate is the suggested rate that I want to say other banks should lend to each other. So that number should be around 4.25 to 4.5%. Let me confirm with ChatGPT. Maybe in the short term. Overnight. Okay. Expects to make 2 more rate cuts in 2025 instead of the projected 4 rate cuts made in September 2024. So that's month 9. Yeah, towards the second half of the year. And now we're in the final few days, final few weeks of the year. Okay. So what changed between then? We had October, November, and December. I guess when you look at markets, the stock market itself, I think you did see indexes grow and overall stock valuations get pretty high, especially within the tech sector. I feel like maybe I'm just picking some winners here, but I swear I've seen a bunch of tech companies go up 30 to 40 to 50% within the past few months. Then I would say the stock market itself isn't a great indicator or economic indicator. Probably GDP, labor markets, potentially, yeah, definitely inflation. I'd say maybe those are big indicators that the the Fed is looking at. I think PCE and CPI, personal consumption expenditures, then also the consumer price index. Okay. Markets are down. So SP 500 down. SP 500. So it was at 6,000 at some point. Okay. 5%. Now it's no longer at 6,000. Only 5%. It's not terrible. Down. 8%. Okay. Then NASDAQ 100. Negative 3.6%. Okay, and then maybe let's do the Russell 2000. Okay, so Russell 2000 is down negative 4.39%. Got it. Okay. Yeah. So why is that doing so? Higher rates are low. Okay, let me watch this.
And I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. The economy is strong overall and has made significant progress toward our goals over the past 2 years. The labor market has cooled from its formerly overheated state and remains solid. Inflation has moved much closer to our 2% longer run goal. We're committed to maintaining our economy's strength by supporting maximum employment and returning inflation to our 2% goal. To that end, today, the Federal Open Market Committee decided to take another step in reducing the degree of policy restraint by lowering our policy interest rate by a 1/4 percentage point. With today's action, we have lowered our policy rate by a full percentage point from its peak, and our policy stance is now significantly less restrictive. We can therefore be more cautious as we consider further adjustments to our policy rate. In our summary of economic projections, FOMC participants wrote down their individual assessments of an appropriate path for the federal funds rate, based on what each participant judges to be the most likely scenario going forward. The median participant projects that the appropriate level of the federal funds rate will be 3.9% at the end of next year, and 3.4% at the end of 2026. These median projections are somewhat higher than in September, consistent with the firmer inflation projection. These projections, however, are not a committee plan or decision. Today was a closer call, but we decided it was the right call because we thought it was the best decision to foster achievement of both of our goals, maximum employment and price stability. I think that the slower pace of cuts for next year really reflects both the higher inflation readings we've had this year and the expectation that inflation will be higher. You saw in the SEP that risks and uncertainty around inflation we see as higher. Nonetheless, we see ourselves as still on track to continue to cut. I think the actual cuts that we make next year will not be because of anything we wrote down today. We're going to react to data. That's just a general sense of what the committee thinks is likely to be appropriate.
Okay, Jay Powell. So it seems like the theme among the FOMC, Federal Open Markets Committee, is that they are still uncertain about inflation. So it seems like core PCE is ticking up to 2.8%. I want to double check 2.8. I guess headline versus core. Headline PCE X food plus energy. 2.8%. Okay. Graph of the current state plus future projections of Fed funds target rate. Projections. Okay, so I think with that, still uncertain about inflation. I'm gonna end, yeah, I'll probably end this one here. I need to go use the bathroom, so I'll go do that. Oh, alright, be back in a sec. Okay. My belt's kind of tight. Alright. So there's that. So now I kind of want to move over to the semiconductor side of things. Semiconductors, okay. Oh, shoot. There we go. Yeah, so I think this is what I went through 2 days ago, or yesterday actually, on Tuesday. The electronic design automation business with Cadence and Synopsys as kind of the two big players. Also, Siemens EDA, which I think is, I'm trying to remember without looking, Meteor, it starts with an M. Mentor. Right, these guys are the software providers for a bunch of the chip design fabless companies and also IDMs like Intel and I want to say TI Instruments, probably Texas Instruments. All right, this I don't fully understand yet, but this is apparently how the workflow of a modern chip design works. Yeah, I don't have too much on it, but let's go here where we have semiconductor co-designer. Yeah, okay, this kind of fits through here, like the AI semiconductor value chain, right? So Marvell, I think Marvell has recently just blown through the roof. I want to say they're more valuable than Intel now. So it's a $100 billion market cap business. And their net revenue is about a tenth of the size of Intel's. That is crazy. Yeah, that's very crazy, but the gross margins are 50%. I think Intel today, their gross margins are, I want to say, also around that range of 50 to probably less. I would say 40% range, the lower end of 40%. But historically, it has been 50 and higher. I want to say even 60% when they really had a strong monopoly in the PC market. GAAP operating expenses are expected to be approximately $710 million, okay? 50% gross margins, non-GAAP operating expenses, weighted average shares outstanding. So GAAP diluted net income per share. Got it. Okay, so this is an overview of their business, I want to say. Special items. Our product solutions serve 5 large end markets where our technology is essential: the data center, enterprise networking, carrier infrastructure. I'm thinking that means in AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, consumer and automotive industrial. These markets and their corresponding customer products and applications are noted in the table below. Okay. This is actually very helpful. Okay. Data center, cloud, and on-premise AI systems, Ethernet switching, network attached storage. I don't know what that is, but cloud and on-premise AI servers, general purpose servers, storage area networks, storage systems, interconnect. Okay. Campus and small medium enterprise routers. So I guess this could be maybe some type of private enterprise network. I guess that's the name, enterprise networking. Broadband access system. I don't know what broadband is. I feel like I've heard of that. Also, I don't know what Ethernet is. I feel like it's the cable, right? But is it a protocol? Is it the technology? I don't fully know. I think routers, what they do is they take some type of signal from a client, this computer, and it connects. Shoot. There's a great bug I had on this that I don't fully remember, but I feel like they take some type of Wi-Fi signal or signal from a client PC, is able to route that to, I want to say, some type of fiber optic cable that is able to then send that communication signal across some type of wire. I could be wrong. Broadband gateways and routers, gaming consoles, home data storage, personal computers, printers, set-top boxes, ADAS, autonomous vehicles, in-vehicle networking. Okay. So when you look at the business today, all right, it does seem like it is very front-loaded. That's front-loaded. I don't know if it's the right term, but there's a lot of revenues. Looks like, I want to say, %75 of the revenues today are coming from the data center segment. All right. And that's an interesting trend because if you look here, the revenues were actually very similar year over year. Only 7% growth. It seems like every other business has been suffering except for the data center business. I'm trying to think, what do I know about enterprise networking, carrier infrastructure, consumer, automotive, and industrial that would make it decline this year? I feel like maybe... yeah, I don't know what the end market is currently doing right now when it comes to automotive companies. I know somewhere in the news I heard Japanese Honda and Nissan are thinking about merging together. They're apparently suffering. Yeah. And then the enterprise networking, I don't know why that's 44% decline. Carrier infrastructure, yeah, what's going on with the carrier infrastructure business? I don't know, but AI is single-handedly keeping this business afloat. Okay. So Marvell, actually, semiconductor code designer, Marvell. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's see if I can grab a photo of this. Quarterly revenue trend. So the big thing to know here is the data center business has doubled in 1 year, but revenues. Same time, the enterprise networking, carrier, industrial/automotive business. There's also one more in consumer. Businesses have suffered. Yeah, I know the PC segment with Intel and AMD, I think even with Qualcomm, I want to say, haven't been great growth opportunities. Maybe there is expected to be a recovery in 2025, this so-called refresh cycle, Windows 10 end of life, and also these AI PCs that are able to run a lot of the local, or I'd say complex machine learning models locally on your computer. Something that has a neural processing unit, that's what MJ defines it as. Okay. End markets. Biggest one today is the data center. Okay, but that just goes to show how big the number 5 total end markets that Marvell considers. Each of those, there is hundreds of opportunities. This just goes to show how important/fast the semiconductor business is. It really does, I feel like. Consumer enterprise networking, carrier infrastructure, automotive. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here. But let's go back to what they had in the front. I guess not much, actually. Probably read their... Okay, here we go. $6 million above guidance midpoint. So data center revenues grow 98% year over year. And 25% quarter over quarter, right? 98% year over year, 25% quarter over quarter. Greater than 20% quarter over quarter growth in Q4. Okay, so they are seen to see a recovery. Okay. I did not realize that they had negative earnings per share. Non-GAAP. Huh. Okay. The revenue does not change, but the gross margin increases by a lot. I thought gross margins were 50%, no? Maybe I was looking at the wrong thing. Okay, yeah, what's a 1.6T PAM for DSPs? Oh, is this? I imagine this is probably this year. So they have their fiscal year 25, like 1 year ahead. All right. Hey, why are gross margins that low? Probably stock-based compensation. Amortization of acquired intangible assets. Okay. Restructuring related charges, other costs of goods sold. Okay, so most of their expenses were part of restructuring. Not too sure exactly what that is, but it does help them reduce their tax. And market. So, yeah, this is the one that it seems like they've put a lot of effort in. So, strong in demand. AI silicon ramp. Let's take a look at what this is. I know DSP in the marketing world is demand side platform, place where you can bid. AI server compute fabric. Historically, most AI server designs use copper trace connections on printed circuit boards to connect accelerators to one another. Now, to address larger AI workloads, an increasing number of accelerators per AI server are needed, resulting in the distribution of accelerators across multiple boards within the rack that are connected using copper cables. As the speed of accelerator to accelerator interconnects transitions to 200, imagine it's gigabyte/lane signaling, VECs will play a crucial role in enabling this connectivity. Okay, so from what I understand from this is that if you have a server rack, on each of the server racks is going to be essentially a server, and on those servers are going to be boards with AI chips on them. I think what this is saying is that Marvell is making some type of connection between the different servers and therefore the different boards that makes transmitting data between accelerators very fast and increases the bandwidth. When I say bandwidth, maybe it's throughput, but basically the idea of being able to push more data across. Okay. Can you break down each term like DSP, PAM4? Pulse amplitude modulation 4-level. Yes, please. So maybe this doesn't seem like, is this a chip? So I think this is the one I just saw. They don't have a picture of it though. Retimeter, okay, I have to remember what is this. So the digital signal processor. Okay. 5 nanometer, 1.6 trillion, PAM4 DSP, 5 nanometers, manufactured using 5 nanometer process technology, 0.6 trillion, so something to do with throughput. I still don't fully understand because I'm kind of getting tired. Okay, PAM4 DSP digital signal processor. Okay, so I guess real-world signals like voice, audio, video, temperature, pressure, position. I want to say they're all continuous signals. They're not discrete. Discrete meaning it's a finite set of numbers that you can choose from. But continuous signals are signals that essentially have an infinite number of possibilities. I think voice is a good example because there is no finite number of voices or types of voices. That's essentially infinite. Right. Very quickly. Analog to digital converter. It says on this. Oh, quantization. Mapping input values from a large set of output to a countable smaller set, often with a finite number. So quantization is mapping something that's large or shrinking it. Convert. Maybe that's an analog to digital ADC converter. Oh, digital output is then fed into the DSP. Okay. This is a Geeks for Geeks? Yeah, it is. This kind of looks like a neural network almost. Like you have some type of function here, a nonlinear function, processor that will operate on signals, on continuous signals that have been converted, call it analog, converted into discrete binary, digital signals. For processing. Sum plus multiply. I guess that makes sense. Maybe it's faster to do these types of instructions on discrete numbers, discrete whole numbers, instead of continuous floating point numbers. Okay. PAM4. Yeah, I forgot what PAM4 is. Pulse amplitude modulation for level. Data modulation technique that encodes 2 bits of data per symbol by using 4 distinct. Yeah, I don't know. So is PAM4 usually a software or hardware thing? Signal scheme. Yeah, okay. And 1.6T. I'm gonna go over this high level without having to get bogged down by it. Chips data throughput / processing capacity, which is equal to 1.6 terabits per second. I feel like tera's probably trillion bits per second. Terabit. 1,000 gig. 1 trillion bits, 1,000 gigabits. So trillion is 12 zeros. Right, yeah. 12 zeros divided by 8. Eight times 11 is 88. So maybe that's like 11 billion bytes, maybe like 20. times 12. $96. Yeah, so 12 billion bytes. 12 billion bytes. It's 12 gigabytes of data. Damn. Per second. And 12 gigabytes per second. $12 gigabytes of data per second. That's a lot. Maybe it's just like transferring over stuff. Okay, let's maybe read through their okay, this is a while ago, I want to say. Third quarter fiscal year 2023. Oh, this is very helpful. Yeah, that's an interesting mix shift. Okay, Marvell SEC filings. 10Q. So this is a while ago. Yeah, about 2 weeks ago. We have entered into capacity reservation agreements with certain foundries and partners. Okay. $67% of gross accounts receivable. $72% of gross accounts receivable. Two customers in addition to one distributor. So same thing. It seems like there's two, both years, this year and last year. Customer D is also 10%. Okay. Oh wow, okay. Sales shipped to customers with operations in Asia represented approximately 74% and 75% of our net revenues in the 3 months. maybe TSMC. Okay, what is this? What is all risks? Okay, this isn't really that helpful, I want to say. Okay, we should probably, it's probably in the business section then. No? Analog, mixed signal, and digital intellectual property components incorporating hardware, firmware, and software technologies, and our systems knowledge to provide our customers highly integrated solutions for their products. Okay. We develop custom system-on-chip solutions tailored to individual customer specifications that deliver system level differentiation for next generation carrier, networking, data center, artificial intelligence, automotive, aerospace, and defense applications. Okay. Electro-optics. Pulse, okay, coherent DSPs, digital signal processors. So it's probably for their networking business then. But they also have it for their data center, right? I remember they grouped this in their data center business. I wonder if they break that down. Probably located in Taiwan, Canada, Singapore, and China. Yeah, maybe like one question I have is how Dr. Cosine work? What's this? Altum? Companies like Marvell and Broadcom act as consultants to customers, say Apple, giving advice on building chip, or does Marvell actually build the chip? I wouldn't say build, but designing a chip. Designing a chip for Apple. Basic controllers are power rangers. Huh, okay. Co-designers, okay, I guess that's probably what this is referring to, like, maybe it's split 50-50. Idea of a semiconductor co-designer. Wow. So how does the co-design business model work? Does Apple pay Broadcom to designer, or does Broadcom get a cut of the chip sales, i.e. iPhone/Mac? expertise without building everything in-house. Got it. It's like a consultant that you pay to help design a chip according meets your needs. Co-designers have internal IP that can be used. Have our expert technical staff, and we'll call them relationships / supply agreements. Are all used to help design, build, and manufacture a custom chip. Chip co-design along with Broadcom. Okay. Design data representing the various with those technologies. Component libraries, manufacturing technologies, reusable design components, models, and other necessary items. IP libraries, got it. IO buffers. What is a CMOS process? Metal oxide semiconductor processing. I guess this is probably how most integrated circuits or microprocessors are made today. Field application engineers. I wonder who this distributor is. No. Do you know who this distributor could be in the Marvell annual report? So our distributor is just like I'm trying to think. And I've heard of Cardinal Health, McKesson. Let's see. Cardinal Health. These drug distributors. McKesson, Cencora. I think it's probably the other one. I remember there was just 3 that were very popular. So, Avnet. Stock. It's very small. 5.6 billion. Okay, but Marvell is also very small. Their revenues is very, very small. So, Avnet. The other one was Ancora. Oh, Arrow Electronics. And also just kind of went straight up. Okay, accept terms. Let's say design engineering. Custom hardware, software, and firmware solutions, product testing. DPS, DSP. Jetson Nano module. Version, okay. This could potentially be an interesting read. I don't want to read it right now, but I'm going to add it. So I do have to say, this doesn't really tell me much. I mean, this is a space where I'm not very familiar with, so it is difficult for me to understand. But yeah, it's not great. Let's see if Broadcom has anything. I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick though. I'm back. Stream is doing pretty good. Alright. $14 million for the fourth quarter, up 50% from the prior year period. Okay, so 4,000. Does that go into 14? Well, no, that does not. If we round it up, maybe that's like 0.25%. I guess it would be greater than 0.25. Okay, it would be greater than a quarter, not 0.25%. But it'll be greater than a quarter. So maybe like 35% net margins, which is actually very, very nice. So you also have a common stock dividend. $51.6 billion, right around the Intel revenue range. Wait, was it? Maybe Intel's... I want to say it is... Yeah, no, it definitely is. It definitely is in the 50 billion range. Maybe a little bit lower. Yeah, I think it was the CCG revenues that was in the 30 billion range. Okay. Using Ethernet networking portfolio. Fiscal year 2024, adjusted EBITDA increased 37% year over year to a record 31.9 billion. It's a lot. It's a lot. By 11% to 59 cents per share for fiscal year 2025. Okay, so about 9 billion in cash. Settled equity awards at best of this quarter. Okay. Do they break down their business by revenue? Seems like they do not. Oh, here we go. Semiconductor solutions, infrastructure solutions. Percent of revenue. Right. I'd imagine maybe VMware is part of infrastructure solutions. So when I think of VMware, I think of some type of virtual machine. What is a virtual machine? I think it's sort of this I want to say it's an instance of a computer or some type of software abstraction of a computer. It has its own operating system. It operates on some type of hardware, like a CPU, but you can have multiple of these virtual machines, multiple sessions on a single CPU. I want to say that's what VMware does. I'm sure under the hood it's very complicated because I don't know how the memory works and how the CPU processing works. Public company masquerading a public equity company. Look, consider the companies that have been added to Broadcom over time. So I want to say LSI Logic was definitely one of them. VMware, Avgo, Broadcom subsidiaries. Avago. Products division is technologies. $6.6 billion. It's like the CHIPS Act today, 6.6. That's what Micron got. And I think TSMC around that range. December 2013, so end of the year. 6.6 billion. That was also 11 years ago. Wow. Okay. XCA networking business first. Initially named Fago. Formed by KKR and Silver Lake. 2005 by buying Semiconductor Products Group of Agilent Technologies, spin-off from Hewlett record. It has then made the following notable acquisitions. So Broadcom. December. Was this also in December? Call it May 2015 announced. $37 billion. That's a lot. That's a lot. Changed the Avago name to Broadcom. Okay. Patent position. Helped increase patent portfolio in mobile data center and IoT. Was 9th largest holder of patents among semiconductor vendors. A while ago, damn. Try buying Qualcomm, okay. I remember this, yeah. November 2017, 30 billion was hostile takeover, but was blocked by Trump. Competitive. $61 billion. So this is pretty recent then. This is one of the biggest buyouts of history. May 2022, 61 billion. November 2023. Okay. CA Technologies. July 2018 for 18.9 billion. Okay. So I feel like this maybe gives a good history of what the company has gone through over time. First, it was focusing on semiconductors. It was actually spun out of Hewlett-Packard Semiconductor Division, Agilent Technologies, and then over a series of different acquisitions, LSI Logic, Broadcom, Qualcomm didn't make it, but CA Technologies and VMware, it's pretty much powerhouse today. So let's try to go to Broadcom annual report. Or Broadcom SEC filings. Guess they don't have anything. But they do have. Yeah, I'll just read one of their annual reports then. Metal oxide semiconductor-based devices and analog 3 to 5 base products. SAN products and related software in the form of modules, switches, and subsystems incorporating multiple semiconductors. Sales. Okay, so they do mention it here somewhere. Segments. So Broadcom has 2 main business segments. The semiconductor solutions and then infrastructure solutions. So what they said with the semiconductor solutions was this was semiconductor product lines plus IP solutions, IP licensing, software, software consists of large enterprises that have computing environments from multiple vendors and are highly complex. We believe our enterprise-wide license model will continue to offer our customers reduced complexity and more flexibility. Okay. All right. Semiconductors. Distributors and original equipment OEMs, maybe like a Dell, HP, or their contract manufacturers typically account for the substantial majority of semiconductor sales. With large global electronic distributors, complemented by a number of regional distributors with customer relationships based on their respective product ranges. So 50 plus billion, right? In total fiscal revenues. Has built these relationships with over years in business. OEM customers across multiple target markets. Place for many years and after collaborated many of their customers. For many years and are often the result of collaborative product development. So extend IP portfolio and develop critical expertise regarding customers. Okay, so recognize revenue. Recognize revenue upon the delivery of products to distributors. Who are they? Right? Who are they? The distributors. Let's say has helped Broadcom build out IP portfolio. Okay, software. Customers consist of large enterprises, have computing environments, whatever that means. What is this? Enterprises that have computing environments, multiple computing environments from multiple vendors. So Broadcom has an enterprise-wide license model. I'm assuming this means it's buy it for the whole company. WT Microelectronics. Net revenues. So, wow, they do sell a lot of their revenues from Apple. Okay. Revenue from Apple, let's see. I think they are 200 billion revenue generating business. Let's see. More than that then. Almost 400. Almost 400. Probably like around 300 billion. Wow. $93 billion worth of net profit. Jesus Christ. I even cover Apple. I can see why it's worth like $3 trillion. Okay. I do realize that it's almost 8, so I'm gonna have to go soon. I have work tomorrow, unfortunately. Oh. Yeah, that was the previous stream. Okay. So Apple, I think Broadcom said they signed an agreement with Apple to build out some type of AI chip, but maybe that has been in the works for a while now, because Apple has been, even last year and the year before, 2023, 2022, they've had pretty strong relations with Broadcom. So that's interesting. That is interesting. Buy it for the whole company. Okay. So revenue concentration, relatively small number of customers, account for significant portion of net revenues. So 57% in 2023 for sales products to distributors, 56% in 2022. Direct sales to WT Microelectronics, a distributor, accounted for 21% and 20% of Broadcom's net revenue in So I think if you look at NVIDIA today, and maybe even TSMC, their revenues are also highly concentrated to hyperscale companies. But I don't think it's in the low 20s. I think it's maybe mid-teens, the percent of revenue. Top 5 customers. Okay. Percent of net revenue 2023 and 2022, so in the past 2 years. So 2023, what happened, right? I'm trying to think. iPhone 16. Right, 2021 I think is when Apple decided to make the M1 chips. M2, the M series of chips. So maybe that's where Broadcom really came in and helped and was able to win a lot of the market or a lot of revenues from Apple. Could be through the M series of chips that Apple was designing. Came from top 35%, 5 customers. Apple through all channels, I guess, including distributors and directly through distributors. 20% of revenues. Probably helped. Alright. M series was in 2021. I want to say, what else changed? So since then, Apple has released, I want to say, new generations of MacBooks, iMacs, iPhones, iPads. And they've also released their A series chips for mobile phones and iPads. Okay, so infrastructure software, semiconductor solutions. Yeah, honestly, this isn't very that helpful. Yeah, they don't really give great visibility. Okay, so this is very similar to what Marvell had. Broadcom's product portfolio. Oh wow, okay. Guess, yeah, this is where they really break it down. Software portfolio, okay. I mean, yeah, this is a very diversified software portfolio. Broadcom software portfolio. Okay, so with that, I am probably going to call this. Gonna go walk back home, maybe go for a run, and need to go to sleep hopefully around 10, 11-ish. So with that, thank you for tuning in to the stream. Wasn't able to get to verified compute, but might do that later tonight or tomorrow. So I think to recap, we talked about the economy, we looked at Marvell and Broadcom. I wish I could get a bit deeper, but there's a lot of technical stuff in here, especially with this semiconductor co-design space. It seems like there's not very specific granular details in each deal. I'm probably going to have to go through those one by one. I know Marvell announced something with AWS, and I don't really know what the process of co-designing is, but I'm starting to think that it does have to involve people, so consultants essentially, technical engineers that work for either Marvell and Broadcom, but then there's also this intellectual property component where Marvell and Broadcom, they own maybe components, libraries, or technology that a semiconductor needs to use or should be able to leverage in order to meet the parameters that an Apple or an AWS wants for their chips. And it seems like it's one of those upfront, you're going to pay Broadcom or Marvell to help you build this chip, and probably that payment includes some type of milestones that they need to hit. So with that being said, that's where I'm going to call this for today. And yeah, I wish I had more time. But I guess 2 hours every day should be enough, right? Should be enough. Okay, so thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.